I found my Prince Charming and all is well with the world.
I am pretty charming though. People that marry the right person, but it doesn't work out, they're usually not. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back.
Look, y'all, we've been married almost 7 years now.
7.
His parents have been married for over 30 years. My parents have been married for over 30 years.
Long time.
And we are surrounded by lots of marriages. Great marriages, miserable marriages. Some single people that we know and married people that we know hold very damaging misconceptions about what marriage is actually intended to be. Today, we are exposing 5 myths about marriage and sharing why that stuff just isn't true.
A lot of people hold some myths on being married. Some of them are damaging when you find out they're not true, or they can frustrate you when you're married, or they can keep you while you're single looking in on married people thinking like, that looks awful.
You're gonna want to stay to the end because some of these concepts might surprise you. If you want more content on relationships and lifestyle, make sure you hit the like button, click subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss an upload, because we upload new content every week, y'all. And when you subscribe, make sure you leave us a comment saying I subscribed, and we'll be more than happy to reach out to you personally and thank you for joining the family.
And if you haven't seen why I chose my wife, we're gonna link that down below, so go ahead and check that out as well. It's an interesting story. I think she's pretty good, but there's, you know,
Pretty good.
I mean, you know, just kidding. Number 1, marriage is a happy ending. Now, there's a lot of problems with this, but you see it all over the place. From the moment you've been watching little Disney movies as a kid, it's like, then they were happily ever after.
They go off in the sunset on some carriage.
Oh, yeah.
Cans and ribbons.
And life is just fantastic. Everyone's smiling, and it's like the end.
Right.
But that is not at all what marriage is like.
Nope, the reality is the beginning.
Yeah, it is an ending of being single, but it is a new beginning.
Of a whole new life.
A very different life. So it is a new beginning, and it's important to remember that and to treat it as such. A lot of times people think, oh, my life is just gonna be perfect once I get married. That's not true at all. I mean, you could have a fantastic life when you're married. I don't want to say you won't. And it can be happy. The problem is not the happy part. The problem is that you think it's a happy ending.
Right. So instead of marriage being a happy ending where they don't even care to show you what happens next, we prefer to look at marriage as a promising beginning. The truth is, just like life, marriage is what you make it. It's a very promising beginning, but a lot of people spend so much time and money preparing for their wedding, and they don't actually prepare for the marriage itself.
Yeah.
So when we understand that marriage is not the happy ending, now I found my Prince Charming and all is well with the world.
I am pretty charming though.
He is pretty charming.
And all did pretty much go right in your world.
Instead of us thinking of it that way, when we actually think of it as a promising beginning and that we have work to do to prepare to make it as amazing as it could be, then we are actually in a better position to have a more beautiful marriage. Number 2, the key to having a successful marriage is marrying the right person. Now, that is a very, very common myth about marriage. You might even be sitting there thinking, well, what's wrong with that statement?
Well, what?
The truth is, you can actually marry the right person and still have an unhappy marriage.
You have a terrible marriage. Now, that's not for us to scare you guys into thinking, I knew it, marriage sucks. That's not what we're trying to say. Hold your horses. We're saying that there's more to it than marrying the right person.
Your happiness is based on you.
It is
what we're trying to say. It is not based on the other person. Only you can control your happiness. You can be single and unhappy. Happiness is a choice. Now, marrying the right person can make a difference. You do need to marry someone that is committed, that is mature, that has these basic fundamental things to be capable of having a healthy relationship.
Right.
But at the end of the day, happiness is our choice. And so we can have the right person and we may not even appreciate that right person at all times. And we may be going through so much in our own personal lives and in our own minds and in our own hearts, wrestling with so many things that we are fault finding with the right person.
Yeah.
And that we're focusing on everything they don't have versus everything that they do have. So it's not just about that person. It is really about ourselves. And the people that have the happiest marriages are the ones that are very introspective, and they take responsibility and accountability for their own actions, for their own mindset, for their own lives. They don't live according to their emotions. They're intentional about how they treat their partner. They're intentional about how they appreciate their partner. So these are things that are absolutely vital to having a successful marriage. Now, you can marry a scoundrel, and it could be very difficult for you guys to have a peaceful marriage. But when you marry someone that's committed, someone that's mature, someone that's loyal, you have much better chances of being able to make it work with that person.
It doesn't have to be a specific person. Like, I have this chemistry with this person.
Right.
I've heard people that married what they thought was not the right person, but they have fantastic marriages. They say, I'm not the most compatible with this person, or this is not who I thought I would have ended up with. It's not the type of person I'm most attracted to. And they have fantastic marriages sometimes. Sometimes you find people that are like, oh, I'm so in love with this man. I'm so in love with this woman. She's perfect. She's this and that. And like 2-3 years later, they divorce. It's not about marrying the right person. It's about, number one, understanding that you're marrying an imperfect person.
Right.
And number two, being the right person. You can be the right person to your spouse. A lot of times, if both people just decide to be the right person for one another, you can make it work. You just do basic stuff. Be kind, understanding, work together. You can make it work. And a lot of people are unwilling to do that. It's going to be dependent upon your habits.
Right.
You need to develop good habits with that person. What we're just saying, if you notice the common thread, is people that marry the right person, but it doesn't work out, they're usually not keeping good habits. They're calling each other names, or they argue a little bit too strongly. They're not going on dates, not complimenting one another. They're not being intimate regularly. Those kinds of things damage a marriage and make it a bad marriage quickly. But if you can maintain positive habits and positive perspectives about one another and do your best, both parties doing their best to make it a good marriage, then it will be.
Two happy people are more likely to have a happy marriage than needy people looking for the other person to make them happy.
Without a doubt.
And that's major. People can bring temporary happiness, but at the end of the day, that person cannot sustain your happiness long term. That's actually putting an unrealistic expectation and unhealthy, unreasonable pressure on someone when they are responsible for your happiness.
Number 3, the purpose of marriage is to make me happy.
That is based on an emotion.
Yeah. So it means that I can't be in this marriage if I'm no longer happy. Or I don't want to be married because I'm not happy right now. Well, I have news for you. You're not always going to be happy in life.
When you're dating. How many of us have ever been in love with someone and then at another point, we can't stand their guts? That means our emotions change. And also, how many of us didn't like someone at first, especially us women, because we take more time to warm up. So we may not even like the guy at first, like, oh, I'm not interested. And then over the course of time, we're like, oh, he's actually pretty amazing. Our emotions can change. So when we're talking about a lifelong commitment, it cannot be based on an emotion. So our counter to the fact that the purpose of marriage is for making us happy based on an emotion is that the purpose of marriage is for making us better based on a commitment. When things get hard, you don't jump ship. You level up in this thing called marriage. You mature through it. Your character develops through it. You become the most patient, unselfish, loving version of yourself. Marriage is an unconditional commitment to an imperfect person. You two become one. So just like you want that person to accept you and love you through your flaws, you have to be willing to do the same. That means that I am totally aware, I'm not blind. I see all of his flaws, and yet I choose to accept him and love him, he can feel safe in my love. He can feel safe in my commitment. So no, marriage will not always look like the edited version of hashtag relationship goals on Instagram, but it can still be absolutely beautiful and fulfilling and purpose driven. We're not trying to say that marriage is not supposed to give you the feel goods. My husband and I are very passionate about each other. We're highly compatible and we have that crazy chemistry that we had since day one, and we're still hot for each other. But on those days that we frustrate each other, that we irritate each other, that we get on each other's nerves, our unconditional love, our unconditional commitment does not change. And we can both feel safe in that. We can feel amazing in that. What beauty and safety it is to be fully known and fully loved. That is what you can give, and that is what you can receive in a committed marriage when you remain patient through the challenges. The truth is that emotions change, but commitment should not.
That's right. Number 4, this one is probably the most common one that I hear. Marriage is hard.
What, Derek? What?
Now, to be fair, I think everything is hard. Personally. I think all aspects of life are hard, but some things are harder than other things.
Yeah.
Marriage, it does not have to be
Right.
one of those super hard things. I don't
Right.
personally feel that way. I know a lot of people that do not feel that way. Does it have hard moments? Without a doubt. But is it hard in general? No, it's not super hard. In fact, marriage has made my life a lot easier. I have a lot more.
Oh, really?
All right, don't make me regret this.
How have I made your life easier, baby?
I'm not.
How have I made your life easiher?
Anyway,
Flatter me for a moment.
marriage.
Flatter me for a moment.
No, marriage. Stop being weird in front of the camera.
I'm being.
I changed my mind. Marriage is very hard.
You committed to my weirdness.
Marriage is very hard.
You committed to my weirdness.
It's very hard. Run. Here's the thing. Marriage, it's made my life easier in a number of ways, right? Obviously, you have someone to share the load with in terms of the difficulties of life. Life is hard. When life is hard, you have someone to help you, someone to cut the burden in half, carry some of that load with you. Emotional support. You know, when you go home, there's someone there that loves you and wants to be with you.
My show is there for you.
It's encouraging. Someone there that can believe in you, that knows the struggles that you're going through in your own life and says, you know, I'm going through it with you. There's a huge blessing and huge benefit to being married just in the fact of having the companionship, someone to go through life with you.
Yeah.
Not only does it make life a little bit easier going through some of the challenges of life, but also you have help with things like kids, or we can work together on things around the house. Not to mention that your income earning potential together is much higher. And in fact, there's more studies coming out even as recently as this year that basically the wealth gap between single people and married people is getting bigger and larger. Significantly so. Building wealth, building a certain lifestyle that you want, and having some of the niceties of life, that is strongly influenced by being married. So I would not say that being married is hard. I would say it's harder not to be married for a lot of people.
It is true that statistics prove that being married makes you healthier. It makes you live longer. It makes you wealthier. And when you go through grief and loss in life, it actually helps you to recover in a more healthy way.
Yeah.
So marriage actually makes life easier in certain ways.
In some ways, yeah.
So marriage should not always be hard. Hopefully you married someone that you actually like,
You may kiss the bride.
because you did choose to spend your ever after with that person. Hopefully you're compatible with that person in some way. So it shouldn't always be hard. We also create fun moments and fun memories, and we have lots of laughter in our home. Marriage is not something that always has to be hard. And when we're intentional about enjoying one another and appreciating the benefits of this companionship, it definitely can give us greater perspective to make marriage even easier. Myth number 5 is that marriage is easy.
Yeah, that's the contrary.
So looking forward to it. Oh, don't forget.
Have a good day, dear.
People think that marriage is just super easy.
Some people think it's super hard and some think it's super easy. They're both wrong.
You're wrong. Yeah. Marriage in general is a blessing, but you can underestimate some of the adjustments you have to make to just building a life with another person.
Right. You have to share your space, compromise on desires, decisions, make decisions together.
Yeah.
Marriage actually grows us up, meaning that you can't be selfish and have a good marriage.
Right.
That means that I might want to do things this certain way, and I may not be able to do it that certain way. I may need to be flexible and understanding of someone else and mature in that moment. And that can be painful at times. It can be painful to submit our will at times, but ultimately, it is so worth it. But when we go into it understanding that you are going to get on my nerves at some point.
Yes.
And
I get on her nerves all the time.
It may not even be just like some days I'm frustrated and irritated with you. There are some seasons where you have a harder time agreeing on things more frequently. And then there are some seasons that you are just coasting through like we haven't argued in 5 months. The seasons change, but our commitment keeps us from fluctuating based on our emotions. What if we threw away something amazing because of a rough week, you know?
Right.
Because of a rough month? That would be absolutely ridiculous, and it's childish and immature. So when we understand that no, marriage is not always easy, there are definitely times that you irritate me a lot.
Likewise, back at you.
But
Now is one of them.
But ultimately, all that stuff actually makes me better. Like my patience has developed so much. Now, I'm still not on my husband's level. He's one of the most patient people I've ever met and is very admirable.
There's much yet to teach you, grasshopper.
But my patience has grown so much, and I realized just how impatient I was in certain areas. The truth is that when we submit ourselves, the hard part of marriage makes us better. The good times are good and the bad times make us better. But it does take two committed people working at this together, appreciating each other, supporting each other, being each other's biggest cheerleader, understanding each other, having grace for one another's flaws. And it can be something so powerful, so amazing. I don't know about all the rest of the couples, but we about to change the world together. We are, and we can accomplish so much more together than we can apart. I know I can't accomplish as much without you. And I know you can't accomplish as much without me.
I don't know.
And not even just like accomplishing things, achieving things, but my life would not be as rich and full without you in it.
Oh, that's nice. That's very sweet. My life would not be as rich and full without you. And so you got to say stuff like that. That was actually what do you call it? She was fishing.
Fishing?
She was fishing for me to say that.
Okay. On that note, I think we're wrapping this thing.
She's trying to really, well, the last point I would throw in there is simply that it's important to realize why marriage is not easy. Part of it is because marriage is a mirror. It's showing you some of the imperfections and impurities that you have. Likewise, you'll see some of the issues that your partner has. It's kind of like you have something in your teeth. You got to keep picking to get it.
Yeah.
But your teeth are metaphorically your character and, and your perspective, your values, your assumptions. You have to take the time to really grow through that in order to make marriage work. And growth is never easy, but it is necessary. Yeah. That's our 5 myths on marriage. Let us know any myths that you feel that we missed in the comments below.
Thanks so much for joining us, guys. If you haven't already seen why I chose my husband or why he chose me, we're linking those in the description below, so make sure that you check those out. And if you made it to the end, leave us a comment below saying commitment. If you haven't already, make sure you click the like button, hit subscribe, click the bell for notifications so you don't miss an upload, because we upload new content every week, y'all. Make sure when you subscribe to leave us a comment saying I subscribed, and we'll be more than happy to reach out to you personally and thank you for joining the family. Till next time, y'all.
Peace.